Hey all, Jase Abbey here for the IDP show, and I'm here to talk about overlooked future starters, the players that aren't necessarily on today's fantasy radar, but who in less than a year could leave us wishing we'd invested earlier. These guys have the upside, they just need the opportunity to shine, and that opportunity in each case could be coming sooner than we think. Let's dive straight in. The first player on this list is Nick Herbig, edge rusher of the Steelers. He's gone off in the last few weeks with a sack in week 3 and another 1.5 last week against the Vikings. Now his pressure rate isn't too exciting at 12.5%. That ranks just north of average in the 52nd or 53rd percentile. But last year, with a much bigger sample size to go on, he was in the 84th percentile, and for any PFF fans among you, his career 84.9 pass rush grade should make you pretty excited. Now, he's been playing a lot more lately to fill in for the injured Alex Highsmith, and both Highsmith and TJ Watt are under contract next year. But Highsmith's cap raises to 20 million, I believe, and while I like him a lot, you have to wonder if, for a player who's missed the preseason with a groin injury and who has missed 8 of the last 19 games with a variety of other injuries, is really worth that 20 million cap here. Not when the Steelers have got a ready-made replacement in Herbig and, of course, drafted Jack Sawyer earlier this year. As I said in the article accompanying this video, it seems to me that at some point the Steelers might choose the cheaper, healthier option and perhaps ultimately trade Highsmith. Next up is Danny Stutsman, Saints linebacker, 4th round draft pick out of Oklahoma in the 2025 draft. Standing in his way to a bigger role is Demario Davis and Pete Werner. Now, Werner's locked in for the next few years after signing that extension last year, but Davis is in a contract year, and although he's still playing better than most guys almost half his age, he's older than dirt, and you have to think the Saints, who we know are going to be struggling to get under that cap, will be looking for any way to save money. So even if Davis doesn't retire, it seems likely to me at least that someone else will be playing alongside Werner next year. Obviously they could bring in somebody else, but surely they'd want to see what they've got in Stutsman first. Alright, let's talk about Jack Kiser next, Jags linebacker, and he's here as much for his draft capital as an early 4th round pick as he is for concerns about Devin Lloyd's future in Jacksonville. Lloyd's last season and a bit have been confusing as hell. To my eye, he's a really good linebacker, but Joe Woods didn't fully trust him last year, and he's conceded snaps to Ventrell Miller and Kiser behind Oluokun this year. Last week was big for Lloyd, obviously, but he only got that shot because Oluokun was out, and now he's in the final year of his rookie deal. If he leaves during free agency next year, and if the Jags don't bring in anybody else, of course, the two competing options behind Oluokun look to be Kiser and Ventrell Miller. Now, Miller missed 20% of his tackle opportunities last year and looked terrible in coverage. So I don't know about you guys, but I know which of these two my money would be on. And if you don't trust me, trust my good friend John Magee, who also tabbed him as a Dynasty sleeper earlier this year. Next up is Jordan Magee, Commanders linebacker, someone who is almost definitely going to be on waivers in all but the deepest of leagues. He's barely seen the field since being selected in the 2024 draft, and barring injury to the guys ahead of him, he's not going to get a look in this year either, with B-Wags and Frankie Louvu dominating snaps. But for as little mind as we're paying to Magee, even in Dynasty formats, he's got a chance to see an increased role and perhaps become fantasy relevant next year if he continues to impress. Now, I hear some of you say continue to impress as if he's done anything to this point, but we've got to dig a little deeper than what he has or hasn't done on the field to find out why I'm saying that. Last year, Dan Quinn praised his athleticism and quickness, adding that he got off to a great start. This year, Joe Witt, DC, said his command of the defense had been excellent, and Wagner raved too about his comfort level, confidence, and detailed prep. You and I know not to get too carried away with what teammates and coaches say during the off-season, but with Wagner in the final year of his deal, and considering the fact he hits 36 next summer, I'm keeping Magee on my radar in shallow leagues and stashing him in deep leagues. I've got another edge rusher for you here in JT Tiumoloau of the Colts. He was an absolute force for the national champs last year, 12.5 sacks, including a bunch when it mattered most during the playoffs against some of the best programs in the nation. Despite all of that, we knew he would need a little bit of time and continued development to become impactful in the NFL. So when the Colts took him in the second round, I wasn't too disappointed because although their edge room is deep this year, it looked likely to thin out in 2026 when Tui could and should hopefully step up. Samson Ebukam, Kwity Paye, and Tyquan Lewis are all in contract years, and those three have played or accounted for more than 75% of the snaps among that edge group. Chances are they don't all leave, right? And even if they do, the Colts will bring in others. But with his potential and draft capital behind him, Tui is definitely a worth on your taxi squad for next year. Alright, so my final guy is a safety. It had to be really, right? But this one isn't just about making up the numbers. I truly believe he can become a fantasy starter, and he might do it quicker than anybody else I've mentioned on this list already. The Cards have two rock-solid starters already, yes, in Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson, but that could change next year with Thompson set to become a free agent after 2025. Taylor-Demerson has looked impressive when he's had his chances, and while he's not a like-for-like replacement in terms of how he's been used for Thompson this year, he was the choice to fill in when Thompson missed a game last year, and he's already playing more than 50% of the snaps each week. We don't tend to prioritize stashing safeties in Dynasty, not when there's more valuable positions to focus on, but if you're in a league where it makes sense to do so, Taylor-Demerson is among the better choices. Okay, that's a wrap for today. I hope this helps. Thanks for tuning in. Please keep an eye out for more of this kind of short video content, along with the bi-weekly articles covering similar topics from me and Jason King. In the meantime, check out the idpshow.com website for more amazing content from our other contributors. And of course, keep your eyes peeled for all of the other incredible shows we have on YouTube and podcast platforms. Bye for now.